What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Malmolian, whatever you guys want to call me. I am back again with a Universes video. This is a two-part video. One, this is going to be kind of a deck profile of the Water Jamie deck that I've been playing that I recently just played in the Webcam Warriors event uh, that Ace Maneuvers just hosted for the community. And then it's going to be the second part is going to be talking about making changes to decks after playing with them. I feel like that's something that some earlier players don't quite know how to do. We'll talk about that when I get into it. So, but first, let's go ahead and start with what I played. Again, I played Jamie. Those who don't know, has a 7 health, 7 hand size, 22 health character. Response: commit once per turn after you play an attack. Add a drink counter to this card. And enhanced Tenacious, your attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage for each drink counter. Max 4. If your attack is completely blocked, ready this card. This is just kind of nice because you're pumping your attacks with stats. And if they happen to be blocked, more often than not, it's going to be full blocks. So you get to re-ready your character, which then you can commit for resources, and you can do this as much as you want to. And then on the other end, if they're not fully blocking, you've pumped stats, which means that they're still going to be taking some damage, which allow you to get your momentum going. So I'm talking about my attack package. 4 copies of Tasty Riff. I wanted to be able to build while attacking with this deck. I am playing 7 2-checks in this deck, yes. And they really did not necessarily cost me the game. I was in bad spots maybe once or twice, but I'd have been in bad spots if I checked an attack anyway. It wasn't necessarily that it was a 2 that did me in. But I like this card because one, Jamie gets to pump stats on it, which is super nice, makes it a bit more difficult to stop the top enhance. And two, again, I got to build, but with having a drink counter right away, that means I got to start building ones or zeros, which completely opened up. If you've never played Tasty Rift decks before, you're kind of limited to hoping that some zeros popped up in your discard. Jamie, if that was the first attack I played, I was instantly able to go ahead and start playing 1 or 0 dips, which opened up a plethora of stuff to build into. 3 shoulder toss. This card was perfect as a 3 of. The stun one is a throw. Has a beautiful response. If its attack deals less than printed, draw a card and ready a foundation. So with Jamie, I can give this 3/3, which puts it at 8, which means if it's half blocked, I still get to trigger the response. If it's not blocked, unless they have like Mikasa's defeats the female titan or something else that says, if this attack is blocked, it doesn't deal any damage, they would be eating 9 damage, 8 or 9 damage. So which I am perfectly okay with as a stun one. So it feels good at any point in the string with it just being a throw, which means the damage user is getting through. Sure, it's slow. But again, being able to trigger that response was just huge over the weekend. 4 copies of Battle or Release. BAR does what it does. I'm able to flip my foundations, draw cards, boost damage off of itself, and then Jamie gets to boost it even more. Very regularly, these were hitting 7s for 7, 7 high, 10 on a consistent basis, in addition to drawing card. All around great work. 4 copies of Breaking. Breaking is a card that I was iffy on. I wanted it because we want to ramp the counters early on. It's not very good late once you get counters going. It's got a very good +1 mid block and also has powerful 3 as well, which I didn't use a single time this weekend. And then it has a responsive drive 1. After you play this card, either add a drink counter to your character or ready. I'm almost always adding a drink card. So it's very costly if you get it early on. If you check poorly, sometimes you don't even get to use it. This is not a slam the card every time you see it. Very usually it's a early opener. Once I got like 2 counters, maybe I would play it to try to get to 3 just because I had a stage that was built. But a lot of times, the check got to determine how I played this card or not. So, and we talked about I did make changes for it. The +1 did come in clutch quite a few times for blocking. Then the 2 times I did get it to play to ramp, it definitely started putting my opponent on that clock. That felt good. So 4 copies of Smashing Stomp. Smashing Stomp is great. It's already a 4 low 6. Gives me +1 to my check to play an attack. So it's already boosting for my aggressive character that wants to play multiple attacks in a string in a turn. Then it has a response. If it deals damage, draw a card. It's already a 4 low for 6. Even with only 2 drink counters, we're talking about a 6 low for 8. Which is absolutely massive. And 6-0 for 8, you're going to have to block it. You're going to have to spend resources to deal with this. And that's one thing that I really loved about this Jamie deck. With all the stat pumps coming through, Zach just forced early resources and put my rival in difficult decisions. Sitting at 8 damage is typically when you start blocking in this game. Well, I just got it to 8 damage for free, so you're either going to have to spend resources to try to get it back down, or maybe spend resources to get it slow enough so that you can block it, or flash it was like what a lot of Midorias were doing, or thinking about going to go ahead and Cape of No returning it, but usually I'm able to get off popping the next check. So, and then 3 copies of Lethal Slash, the other 3 twos that I'm running. I went with Lethal Slash just because I wanted some more card draw. I didn't mind playing more 2 checks, simply because since this is able to clear itself after, if it's second or greater card, you can kind of survive bad checks in a sense because it is clearing progressive difficulty. And then again, I just get the straight up draw unless it's been flashed. But again, we're talking about our rival forcing themselves to use resources. I very rarely had dead draws. I don't think I had any dead draws in any of my 12 games I played this weekend. The issues where I had is maybe I didn't pull enough attacks is because I had to use attacks that had to be flashed and was easily blocked from there, or they had to be eaten by Cape of No Return or something along the lines from there. Like not having enough attacks was not an issue this weekend. I was very often playing 5 attacks in a turn and still able to build 3 and still holding 2 or 3 at the end of my turn. So just because quite a few of my attacks are replacing themselves, like Battle or Release, Shoulder Toss, if I got the trigger, it would replace itself. Smashing Stomp, if it got the trigger, it replaced itself. And then Lethal Slash, as long as I got to play the bits, it replaced itself. So definitely got to do a lot of attacking, a lot of building, a lot of taxing. Ran 2 copies of Titanstone Knuckles. Absolutely clutch card this weekend. Absolutely clutch card. It's Deflect 3. It's a unique. Enhance, commit a foundation. Your attack gets plus 2 damage and gains stun 1. Which is good. I use that as kind of a win more. If I am checking well, then I can just kind of further tax my rival out to kind of make sure they can't block the rest, and I can pump my stats out and close the game. But its response was absolutely devastating all weekend long. It has a response if after this attack is blocked, so it's either mine or my rival's, destroy rival asset and your rival flips 1 foundation. I only destroyed 2 assets all weekend with this, not 2 in number. I destroyed multiple, but the 2s I was destroying was the Mutant Machine and Cape of No Return. The amount of those 2 cards that I ate this weekend with this card is absolutely insane. And, of course, being able to flip a foundation and make it blank. And then I had the Brawler Brute Enhance, which came into play one time. Being able to use the Deflect from the stage because Jamie is a Brawler also helped out as well, too, especially against my Midoriya decks that I played against. The foundation lineup, it's simple, surprising skill, super effective when, stuff coming in to commit or seal. I'm able to have my opponent commit their stuff down, or I'm able to ready up and be able to be attacking. Syndicate target is just a 6 check, what it does. Fast friend shippers or speed hate. Capture the target. I'm having very often be having 3 attacks in a turn. It just helps me ready to keep the string going. That's kind of the theme of the deck. Ecological Fighter, same deal. Ready and face down foundations, and if I dealt damage, was able to ready too. Subdual Technique, I didn't get to use as much as I wanted to, but I really did like when I did get to use it. It's just response flip after your attack deals damage. Freeze a rival foundation. Very good for playing quote-unquote defense. A lot of times I string out, I'm only going to be holding 2 or 3 cards in hand anyway, maybe blocking once or twice. Being able to freeze your foundations on my turn after they've probably most likely been committed means that that's 3 or 4 less foundations you're not using. 2 to 3 foundations you're not able to ready up and use, which means that's potentially less attacks you get to play, or putting the onus on you having to check great all the time. Guardian Angel of Chinatown. This card deterred a lot. I don't think I got to play it once at all, just because people knew it was sitting in there, and whatever they played, I was going to be able to flip and cancel it. Dance Routine, I've replaced this card. If I had Aaron Sidestep, that's what this would have been. Unfortunately, I didn't own that card, so I just wanted to kind of have a little bit of the speed hate, and this is just what kind of came to mind. This is probably the most underperforming card of the weekend. Faith Shield. Unfortunately, with my matchups, Faith Shield did not come into play often. Really wish I just had it as a one-of. It's not very good against Midoriya just because stuff is coming in so fast. I have to try to block anyway. And most of the other attacks I was taking care of with Cheerleader, No, there wasn't a ton that I could flip. The times that I were able to be able to use Faith Shield, Dark Ward was kind of sitting in there to try to take care of stuff. So, yep, Cheerleader, absolutely massive, massive card being played this weekend. Just being able to flash stuff. Because remember, it's at response speed, so that means that cards don't get their blitz effect as well either. There was not a time that I wasn't happy to be building this or had that in my stage in order to be able to play. Super clutch card this weekend, definitely worth its value as a 2 Mikasa defeats the female Titan. As always, sometimes I'm not going to have the right block zone. Sometimes I don't have the right block mod. Mikasa defeats the female Titan says that I will always have, quote unquote, the right thing because I can just flip it and it deals no damage. Tusku's crew, I liked where I was at with 2 just another card filtering that I had going, and the potential to have the brawler response as well too, where I get to flip it, and when my attack's completely blocked, again, I get to ready a foundation that's not been ready this combat phase, allowing me to go deeper in the strings on my offensive turns here. Single copy of Desperate Struggle. I did not have Moment of Normalcy, so I was kind of looking for stat resets. This is what I had on hand to be able to play. 2 copies of Condescending Explanation. This is going to be those cards that are attacks that I couldn't block. I could just flip it, after they may have gotten pumped for stats. Just give me the option to go ahead and just flip the attack, abort it, and not have to worry about anything. I didn't get to play this card too much. I dropped it to a 1 of in the new build of the deck. And then the last 3-diff foundation is Dedicate Your Hearts. Enhance once per turn, sacrifice a foundation, ready one that's not been ready this combat phase. And then a Deadlock Enhance of Flip. Clear 2 cards from your card pool. I got to use the Deadlock Enhance once. It was against Mitch's Midoriya in round 5 of Swiss and the final round of Swiss. Other than that, I wanted to have a sacrifice outlet because I'm going to be having quite a few face down foundations flipping between battle or release and just the cost of some of these cards. So I wanted to be able to have a way of getting rid of quote unquote dead cards or blank cards so that I can be readying up other useful things as well too. And then sideboard Rejuvenating Prayer. I didn't see Unyielding Heat, but this is my Unyielding Heat answer. It also has Deflect 2 as well too. So it just kind of cancels out what Unyielding Heat does throughout the turn. Eyes of the Tiger. I had this in for Porco, Godzilla's if I was going to be facing him because I could have shut down City Rampage and stuff like that. It did come in handy. I mean, I did see it against Porco when I needed to. Unfortunately, I had a loss of consciousness to be able to seal it for the turn, so I didn't even get to play it, but it was there for that reason. Team Dr. Ichigai was just to come in and kind of cancel other things that was coming in, Mutant Mega Mutant Machine, or whatever the card is called, MMM, things like that. I just needed ways to be able to cancel stuff. Plenty of things that I had available. Second, Desperate Struggle in case I really needed that arm response stat reset. And then 3, Activate the Coordinates. I didn't see a single backup deck, but this was just a hard counter to any backup decks. Having them lose 2 stamina and it's just super static to the moon. But this didn't have to come into play because I didn't play any backup decks. Okay. So that's what I played. I went 2 and 3. My losses was to the winner of it all, that Porco, Gavin's Porco, that he had played. And then I lost to David Toon's Void, Midoriya on the move. I ran out of gas towards the end of that one on there. Again, just having to fight through capes and then it flashing and all that stuff. And then my last loss came against Mitch in round 5. I think I was on, if I beat him, I think I finished 9th. I still wouldn't have made top cut, but I think I'd have been 9th. Instead, I wound up finishing 17th. And then he wound up making top cut by beating me. So, nothing to be upset about. I felt like I played well. I just didn't see my answers when I needed to see them at the time. And there's also a few cards I didn't own that I wanted to have, like Referee Jury. So, again, I played 12 games. I kind of explained the cards that, didn't kind of perform for me as stuff that I wanted. And so I made adjustments. And it's something I want to talk about for players. After I would say you've put about 10 games in until you become more experienced and you know what you're lacking. I would give it about 10 games before you really start making significant changes to the deck. So what changes have I made to the deck? I have changed my attack lineup. I took Tasty Riff out. A lot of times Tasty Riff got hate on so much. Either it was flashed, it was made blank, or damage was reduced to anything like that. It made it very hard to pop off what I needed to. I thought I was going to be able to sneak. People would forget about Tasty Riff. But no, that card seen a absolute ton of hate, so I didn't get to really use it to its full potential. Although I was glad it was burning resources, I wasn't able to be able to use it, so that kind of hurt on my end. So I've replaced it with Vast Cyber Chimera Kraken. One issue that I was running into, I was feeding cards in order to eat up like Cape of No Returns and other assets and things like that. And that hurt because I didn't have anything. Titan Stone is when it's blocked. So if I wasn't getting stuff blocked yet, I couldn't destroy things on my turn. Mass Hyper Chimera Kraken just tells you that you get to turn it sideways, and what you thought you had safe for a +1, you don't. Um, and then the committing and freezing of the One Rival Foundation, which now I'm going to try out with Subdual Technique, because Return of the King is the other card I'm thinking about doing that with. Being able to say that any of my cards now have a +0 block mod just makes that much easier to be blocking and holding on to, and be able to survive to make a crackback turn happen. I'm a Hero 2 now replaces Breaking. Again, like I said, I don't think the Breaking is a bad card. It's just if you don't build well, if you're low on resources, it kind of burns you real bad when you have to make either or. And that is what you play the card for. If I have to make the decision to not play that card, then I'm just playing essentially a blank 5/5 power for 3. And that's not what I want to do. So the beautiful thing about this is it can't be sealed, and it can't leave my card pool due to rival effects. So I essentially will get my guaranteed trigger unless it's made completely blank, which I don't think it can because it would be sealed. So it have to be. I don't think it's interactable at all. Either way, it's few things that it can be interacted with. So I will guarantee get my enhance to get a counter on my character and be able to start building those drink counters up on Jamie. What I do like is it has Breaker 2. There was quite a few games where perhaps if I had the Breaker instead of the +1 high block, that would have done more to disrupt their turns, especially with the Midoriya decks, because they're accounting to make sure they have the stats that they need to be able to play. So being able to disrupt or tell your opponent, hey, you have to check really well in order to get enough through to kill me, was just fine. And then again, having Breaker 2 and then having Mikasa defeats the female Titan makes me feel pretty safe about having that. And it's not bad. I mean, Breaking was a 5 mid 5. This is a 5 high 4. I don't too much care about losing the damage because I'm pumping it with Jamie, so we're okay. Lethal Slash has been bumped up to 4x. I want to keep my draw going. Since I got rid of Tasty Riff, I can still bump that up and run a full play set of that. Smash and Stomp stayed the same. All these other attacks stayed the same. I had a referee jury. I don't own any juries anymore. I wish I had them. There were multiple times throughout multiple games where if I have referee juries, I get to live. Again, just because I'm disrupting. Normally, if you could disrupt at least 2 attacks a turn, you are A-okay. You are doing just fine. And then, so I dropped the dance routine, and we added in the air and side step. Definitely going to be able to make sure I get the air and side step in. It's the flip -2 speed that I'm looking for. And then, of course, if I'm completely blocking it, then I get to draw a card, which is very important. Very important. And then Moment of Normalcy. I've added 2 of those in. This is what I wanted. I didn't own. Just kind of had that on board reset for the enhance instead of having to do like the response, because the issues with the response is I have to do it at the right time. No Moment of Normalcy. I get to pick when I am ready to reset something back as is. Drop Condescending Explanation to a 1 of. Drop Faith Shield to a 1 of. And everything else I kept the same. So we're still rocking. Well, we're rocking 63. I was rocking 62 on the last one, but having 1 extra card for all the answers that I now have going on, I am okay with that. Sideboard still remained the same. 2 Eyes of the Tigers, 2 Rejuvenating Prayers, 3 Activating Court, and 3 of my fists solve my problems. This is what I wanted for my Dekus, who have those bajillion forms coming up. Then I can just say, hey, response. I get to flip. And then just set the speed to 4 after all those things came through. If they thought it doesn't hit as Fudge and Flurry after a while. So, yeah, that would be the changes that I made to the deck. So, again, I put in 12 games. I figured out what worked because 12 games was enough to figure out what I was working, what I was constantly reviewing, what did I have in my stage that I wish would have been a card that wasn't in my deck. and then we went from there. So I'm very pleased with the way the deck performed overall. I felt like I played well. I wish I would have had the cards that I needed. A lot of times where the games were over, things that happened with that, I just didn't have the card I needed. The answers was in the deck, either through sideboard or already built in. I just didn't see them. So I'm very happy with this deck. I'm excited to play it next month at some store championships and hopefully be able to take down one of those. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I just wanted to, one, do a deck profile on what I played, and two, kind of talk about what you're looking at when you're going to looking to make changes to your deck. So that is all. I'll be looking forward to producing some more content, some more beginner, intermediate friendly, player friendly content coming soon, such as building your stage out, what you're looking to build for, certain tips like that. So that's it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.